Hey, good evening. It's Chief Meteorologist Alex Kirchner at the 13 Weather Authority. We're live here on our digital properties. So we're live on Facebook, we're live on our YouTube page, as well as our website, WREX.com, and on our news app. So however you're joining us as of this evening, thanks for staying up to speed on the weather. By the way, while we're live on our 13 WREX Facebook page, I will be addressing some of the questions and comments live here on Facebook. So if you've got anything that you're wondering, chime in on that discussion again live on Facebook. So here's what we have going on moving forward over the next 24 to 48 hours. Another round of snow, which could double up on some of these snow totals that you see listed. This is coming from last night. So last night's snow brought about 1.5 to 2 inches across a lot of our backyard, though some spots the farther south you went picked up a little under that. So DeKalb only about 1/2 inch of snowfall, but majority of our backyard saw at least 1.5 inches of snowfall, and again we could see a repeat performance for most spots as we go into tomorrow night. Late tomorrow afternoon into the evening, that's when the snow starts up. That could mean some slick roads by the time we get to tomorrow evening, tomorrow night. So whether you're just driving home from work or school, you're going out to the grocery store, running some errands, or maybe even getting out on the road for the holidays, be ready for some slippery stretches as a result of that next round of snow on the way. You can see it here crossing the Great Plains right now. So across North Dakota is our next weather system in question. That'll arrive for us by late tomorrow afternoon. We do avoid the brunt of this snowstorm, thankfully, but holiday travelers especially, heads up. Starting tomorrow evening and lasting into Friday morning, heavy snowfall possible at times stretching from Minneapolis through Green Bay. Madison, Milwaukee, La Crosse, you're looking at a winter weather advisory. So these are some of the locations that could see heavier amounts of snowfall, which means holiday travel's snarled even more the farther north you go. Locally, it's much lighter snowfall, but that's still enough to cause some slick spots, so I want you to be prepared, ready for that for tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, possibly as late as Friday morning. But I know a lot of people are going to be hitting the roads soon for the holidays, or maybe going up as of this holiday weekend or this upcoming weekend ahead of the holiday. So want to at least let you know where the worst of this storm is going to be so you can plan accordingly. So here's future track. We're going to start off right at about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That is when snow becomes steady for us. So I think right after about 3 to 4 is when things get steady, and we'll continue to have that steady, somewhat heavy snowfall at times through about 7 p.m. So it's right during those evening hours where we'll pick up the majority of our accumulations. Might get a brief break Thursday night before another quick hitting round of snow arrives before sunrise Friday, and then the snow exits from there. So it may take until 6 or 7 o'clock before the snow stops falling, which means that just kind of delays how long before everything gets cleaned up. So when it comes to snow totals, our forecast has about 1 inch or less from Oregon to DeKalb and south. You get north of some of those spots, so into Freeport, into Belvedere, you're looking at about 1 to 2 inches of snowfall. That does include the Rockford Metro, maybe just a little bit above 2 inches. And then basically north of there, so we're getting into spots like Beloit, Rockton, you're looking at possibly 2 to 3 inches of snowfall. So the amounts do get higher the farther north you go. But within that range, again, there's going to be a little variation. It's probably more like 1 to 2 from Oregon to just south of Freeport, and then more like 2, 2.5 around Rockford, 2 to 3 right along the state line. Then the farther north you go, that's where we run into more problems. So north of Janesville, you're heading towards Milwaukee, you're getting into Madison, 3 to 5 inches of snowfall. North of there, especially within that I-94 corridor, a little closer to the Wisconsin Dells, 5+ inches of snow. That also impacts areas like Green Bay, Eau Claire, Rhinelander, Minneapolis, if you're traveling in that direction. So a lot of this, again, taking place tomorrow afternoon through Friday morning. So the farther north you go, the more likely you're going to run into those heavier snow totals. So be careful with that. Say you're going into Chicago, maybe you're going eastward. A lot of Michigan may be more in the 1 to 2 inch range out of this snowstorm. So it seems like the worst of it's going to track right through sections of central Minnesota into northern Wisconsin. So just be ready for that in case you're traveling to the north. So Really, anytime after about 3 o'clock tomorrow, be ready for some snow showers. The impacts could last as late as 6 a.m. Friday, so it may take until later Friday morning before things kind of clear out. Snow totals in general 1 to 3 for our backyard. You saw some spots may pick up under that, and then the deeper you travel into Wisconsin, probably will be picking up over that. So slow driving, slick spots are the big impacts that you're going to face. Then on top of that, we've got that heavy snowfall threat to our north. We've got the audience still going here. We'll run through this for anybody that's just joined us, but just a little heads up here. Join us tonight at 10 o'clock too, because we get the latest model runs in right before our 10 p.m. broadcast. So if we have to adjust the snow forecast we will have that updated forecast tonight at 10. I don't think it's going to be wholesale huge impacts, but maybe we're kind of tweaking things just a little bit if we do see any kind of growing trends here. So tune in tonight at 10 o'clock for a look at that, as well as a potential wintry mix on the way for early next week, which may impact you on the return trip or you're heading out for the holidays. We'll be tracking that tonight at 10. But like I said, for anybody that's just joining us here, we're live on WREX.com. We're live on our news app, as well as Facebook and YouTube. And we're keeping an eye on some of the questions and comments live here on Facebook too. So just join the discussion if you need to ask any questions as we continue to kind of provide another look at all of this for any new audience members that's just joined us. If you happen to miss out on that first run through of the forecast, we'll go through it again. And again, I'm keeping an eye on some of the questions and comments here. Lisa just chiming in. You're definitely welcome, Lisa. Thanks for joining us as of tonight. So as a bit of a recap here, about 2 inches of snow fell last night to give you a reference as to just what Tuesday night brought. May see very similar snow totals for tomorrow night. So we could be looking at, kind of doubling up on some of the snow that we picked up within the last 24 hours. That's ahead over the next 48 hours. In general, we're looking at snow starting up late tomorrow afternoon into the evening. That'll continue into tomorrow night, wraps up early Friday morning. Be ready for slower travel, snow-covered roads and spots, slick areas. Might not be the cleanest for holiday travelers as you may be hitting the road tomorrow night or taking off early Friday morning. Here's the weather system in question. It's crossing North Dakota right now with some snow showers, and a lot of the Great Plains will be seeing some snow and some very strong winds over the next 24 hours. We'll avoid the wind, but we do pick up on the snow as we go into tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And heads up, big heads up here. If you're traveling north, we've got winter weather advisories in effect north of Janesville towards Milwaukee, Madison, La Crosse. You're going into north central Wisconsin, so we're talking Eau Claire, or getting into Green Bay, heading towards Minneapolis. Maybe you're going to the Twin Cities this weekend for the holidays. You got a winter storm warning for tomorrow night into Friday morning. That's for potentially a half a foot of snowfall in some of these locations. Make sure that you're paying attention to any kind of weather alerts, the latest forecasts, the latest radar trends. You can definitely look at those on the 13 Weather Authority weather app. Keep an eye on that, because that exact track radar is able to get right down to the street levels. So make sure you've got the 13 Weather Authority app handy as of this weekend when you're traveling, because of these alerts that are out and the impacts coming with that. So here's Future Track again. A lot of the snow may be already coming down by tomorrow morning across Wisconsin. We could be maybe tickled by that snow just a little bit in the afternoon. You can see here right along the state line, we've got some hit or miss light snow showers, but I don't think things really start to get going until after 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So that is when the snow gets a little heavier and steady, and it'll continue to be somewhat heavy at times and definitely steady through about 7. So a lot of tomorrow evening is spent with some steady snow showers, so we'll pick up the bulk of our accumulations tomorrow evening. By tomorrow night, things may briefly dry out, but you'll see here we almost get another little burst of snow to come in after midnight going into Friday morning. I do think the snow is out by about sunrise Friday, so hopefully that helps clean things up when it comes to those travels or even just that morning commute on Friday. In general, here are some of the snow forecast situations that we find ourselves in. So Oregon to DeKalb and south, about an inch or less. You get north of some of those communities, we're looking at Stockton, Freeport, the Rockford Metro, Belvedere, 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. Now, there is a little variance here, so it might be more like 1 to 2 for Freeport to the Rockford Metro, and then you get north of Rockford, you're getting into maybe Roscoe, Beloit, it could be closer to that 2 to 3 inch range. So that's where we'll see maybe some subtle changes there, but in general, you're picking up about a couple inches of snow through that US 20 to I-90 corridor. Then you get around Janesville and north, we're looking at a lot more snow, so 3 to 5, especially near La Crosse, near Madison, near Milwaukee. You get north of there, it's 5+. So we're talking about Eau Claire, we're talking about Stevens Point, kind of north central Wisconsin, and then into Minneapolis too. So that is, a big concern if you're traveling northward tomorrow night into early Friday. So be aware of that. Definitely change up your plans. Try to get out early. Wait till the snowstorm's over. Make sure you adjust if, again, you're heading northward into some of these locations that are going to get the heavier snowfall. I think locally in the state line, 1 to 3 or 1 to 2 inches of snowfall. It'll be kind of like last night. There's going to be some slick spots. There's going to be slow driving. But as long as you're taking it with a little caution, you probably will be able to navigate it just fine if you're kind of staying local during some of this time frame here. So Lisa's wondering, are we looking at a white Christmas? Not great right now. That's our odds for a white Christmas. I think it'll depend on if this snow is able to hang around into the middle of next week, and I think there's a lot working against it. Say we do pick up 2, maybe 3 inches of snow and got a nice little blanket out there. We've got a dry, somewhat sunny weekend, and then early next week, we're above freezing in the afternoon. There's a couple days that get into the 40s. There may even be some rain, mixed with some snow and freezing rain going into Monday. So that may wash out, melt out a lot of that snow. So even if it does happen to hang around to like Monday, Tuesday, I think a lot of it's really going to shrink, if not melt out completely. So by the time we get to Christmas, 1 week from today, in fact, it's not looking good. Now, the definition of a white Christmas is 1 inch of snowfall on the ground on Christmas Day. So, even if we do have a little snow and some patches and things, we've got to have a solid blanket of about 1 inch to be considered a white Christmas, which is why it's not looking great. I think spots like Wisconsin to north central Wisconsin, Minneapolis, much higher chance of seeing that white Christmas just because they've got a lot more snow to play with versus what we're looking at in the middle of next week. So I don't want to completely rule it out, but the odds aren't good just knowing how warm next week is going to be, plus additional showers that may melt some of that snow away. Joey's wondering here, can we expect some higher wind, potential whiteout conditions? We'll get a little breezy locally. I don't think it's going to be to the point where we're really looking at whiteout conditions, thankfully, at least, again, locally, right in the state line. Maybe some snow blows around a little bit, makes it a little harder to see as it's falling, but I don't think we'll get to that full-on whiteout criteria. It's the spots, though, if we're talking 3+ inches of snowfall, 5+ inches of snowfall, you throw some wind into that, that might be a little different of a story. So potential areas that could see visibility concerns might be more where we're getting the brunt of that storm, but I don't see whiteouts and the windy conditions to be too much of a factor locally, thankfully. I mean, a couple inches of snowfall is not fun to deal with, and you don't want the wind to compound that. So I think in general we should avoid some of those impacts. So a bit of a recap here. After about 3 o'clock tomorrow, be ready for snow. May take until about 6 a.m. Friday to really wrap up. Be ready for some slow driving conditions locally. And keep in mind, again, if you're traveling for the holidays going north, tomorrow night, Friday morning, watch out for that heavy snowfall. Be ready for that. May adjust your plans accordingly. And coming up in about an hour on 13 News at 10, we'll have the latest model runs on this particular snowstorm. And if we need to tweak the forecast at all as necessary as we get new data in, we're always analyzing that latest amount of data that comes in. And do we have to tweak the forecast or not? And then we'll take a look ahead at a wintry mix for early next week, give you another preview of a warm holiday. It's not going to be necessarily on the hot end of the scale, but things are going to be pretty mild for Christmas, so we'll forecast that coming up in about an hour on 13 News at 10. Thanks for joining us here, and have a great rest of your night.